Okay, good old Booze Warehouse. What an interesting place it was. So, to really tell you about Booze Warehouse, I have to tell you my first experience with Booze Warehouse. So, I was 17 years old. It was 2007. I was almost 18 years old. And I had this friend on MySpace at the time. She was a pretty cool chick. I mostly knew punk chicks at the time, but I started hanging out with more people in Tempe, where I was living, and somehow she ended up on my page. Anyways, so she came over to hang out one day, and we were watching a movie. It was Party Monster. She wanted to watch it. And she really wanted me to go to this warehouse, Booze Warehouse, where they had these raves at. And I was, I was shy at the time. I grew up in a small town, so I was like, hell no. And she was so, chill or whatever that I finally said, okay, I'll go with you. Oddly enough, right? So we go to town. Well, actually, we go to her house, all this stuff. End up finally getting to the party in Phoenix. And middle of Phoenix, like right by Chase Stadium. And which kind of just blew me away that they were having such a big party right there. Or at least like an illegal party, a rave. It just kind of blew me away. So, we get there, and I guess it was kind of early, and that rave apparently didn't even pop off too big that day anyway. So we get there, and we have a good time, we hang out and all that stuff, and that was the summer of 2007. Now I'll tell you about the last time I was in Booze Warehouse. The actual warehouse. Not the garage, but Booze Warehouse. So, this was when, it was at Bloodfest 3, 2007. It was my birthday rave, right? We get in there. Actually, I didn't even get in there. My girlfriend got in there. I was still waiting outside because all the women was allowed to go in first. And apparently, there was two people right before me to go in. 2 people left before me. And it gets shut down. Apparently, the chick from Ice House got mad because she was throwing a party the same night and decided to call a fire department on them. And obviously, the New Times little article about it kind of gets a little bit twisted. But I know better. So, and it's funny because the chick that was throwing the Booze Warehouse party got all bent. It was this one prominent rave production crew, or this guy that throws a lot of raves in town now. Don't want to say his name, but his girlfriend at the time got bent and went over to Ice House and bitched her out. Anyway, so the party gets shut down, and it's funny because in the New Times it talks about all these kids being drugged up and stuff, being let out loose onto the streets, and how, the parties used to happen in the desert, and then now they're happening in this warehouse. Well, where did we go? Went from the warehouse to the desert. We went to mile marker 118. Really don't know quite where that was, because I was just in a car with a bunch of random people that I really barely knew. But it ended up a pretty good night. Could have been better, I guess. And I don't know, it's pretty interesting. Now they call it the press room, right? And, they're probably all legal. But, I had a lot of good times at that warehouse. That was my favorite fucking place to have parties at. It was really quite interesting and just so gritty and underground. And I mean, if you're into tripping, they definitely always had some good acid and stuff. Pretty wild stuff. And you know, I don't really go to parties like that anymore. Last time I went to a party was out in the desert, and it was like 2015, maybe 2016. And I don't know, the underground scene just isn't like what it was back then. But then again, you know, when I was going to the parties in 2007, they were like, oh yeah, you should have been here in 2001. Some of the interesting stuff about the warehouse itself. Well, you know, obviously some of the big reasons why they shut it down is because the exits, they had exits, but apparently they were blocked or whatever. People couldn't get to them. And not only that, but the staircase going down into the basement was wooden. It was small, like it wasn't very wide. It was quite something. And the basement, I mean, it was really interesting. Really interesting basement. It was always nice and chilly down there. And it was always where the weird stage was. You know, sometimes you'd go down there and there'd be people in the corner smoking heroin or something. It was like fucked up shit. At least that's what I heard. I never saw that, but supposedly, you know, some crazy shit like that did happen. And, you know, there was definitely a lot of ecstasy and acid going around though. That was big. Probably a lot of ketamine. And yeah, there was the main floor. Main floor was badass. There was actually two stages often on the main floor. And there was one that would lead out into the dock because it's a warehouse, so there was a docking area where a truck could pull up and you can unload a bunch of stuff into the warehouse. Well, the stage would have its speakers pointed towards the dock, and most of the people would be out at the dock, in the dock, and it would be like a giant cuddle puddle. It'd be like 100 people just fucked up. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, that was out in the open because it was at the dock, so, you know, it was out in the open. And the police station was right next door, so, I mean, in this article, it was saying that they would shine flashlights down, and they would, you know, try and get pictures, video of Boo, Michael Booer, or whatever his name was, the fucking supposed pedophile, which was always interesting. I would see Boo around, but, you know, wasn't really... I wouldn't say he was like up on girls or nothing, but he was obviously around, you know, 15, 16, 17-year-old chicks in their underwear, basically. Usually. Man, it was wild. Anyways, it was definitely something else. So, I mean, this place is cool. The party that I went to there, that was really just insane. It was called Just the Beginning 3. It was the third one. And it was like a drum and bass party, apparently. But they had some other stages with different music. And it was 4 stages. And that's how I just explained the bottom stage and the middle stage. That's exactly how it was. There was 2 stages on the first floor. 2 stages on the first floor. The basement had a small stage with some funky, weird music. And then the second floor, a lot of times would either have like some psychedelic trance or like some fucking like happy hardcore or something. Like it was the second floor usually was really fucking cool, and I think it was like DJ Mars or something. It was wild, and yeah, it was just a crazy fucking place to party. It would have been really cool if they could have fixed up that garage, or fixed up the warehouse and had it going. But what is now currently the press room is what we call Boo's Garage. There for a while. There was I remember one of the first parties I went to at Boo's Garage was, and it's only a single floor, obviously, so there's only like one stage. First one, it was kind of like that runway model show. Arizona's Next Top Model. No, Arizona's Next Top Raver. America's Next Top Model was a show. And then the party was Arizona's Next Top Raver. I believe that's what it was. It was alright. It was more of like a happy hardcore show, I believe. But, and I went to a party at the Ice House too. And, I don't know why they acted like Ice House was not underage people. Like they somehow was a legal party, because in reality, Ice House is not legal either. They say it was in the fucking New Times article, but Ice House was definitely not legal. Just because they got permits or whatever doesn't mean shit. Because I met a girl there that I thought was fucking was like 18 or whatever. I just turned 18 at the time, fucking, and she was 15. So, you know what I'm saying? You expect these people to be fucking 18, but there's still fucking kids there. So I mean, what the fuck? And they let them in. It's not like she had a fucking fake ID or nothing. Hell, she even looked pretty young. I thought maybe she just had that look, but I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous. So, Ice House was a bunch of bullshit too. It was just a feud, and looks like technically, I mean, Boo didn't, but that place, whoever runs Boo's Warehouse now, well, Boo's Garage now, apparently came out on top, because Ice House doesn't look like it's throwing parties anymore.